Hey there, I'm Isabel Garino from the Residential Assisted Living Academy. I own and operate my own care homes, and for the last 10 plus years, I've been training thousands of people how to do this as well. Today, I want to share with you the three smartest options for you to participate in residential assisted living. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons and how you can really take action with this today. We'll break down the numbers, and then I also want to share with you the 4 ways to get started so that you know when you leave this video exactly what next steps to take. We host trainings in Phoenix, Arizona. We also have online courses, but I love being able to break down these steps for new investors, new entrepreneurs, so they can really determine if this is the smartest option for them. So let's dive in. The first way that you can get involved in residential assisted living is owning the real estate and leasing the business to an operator. So you're not going to be running the business. You're not in the day-to-day of the care home. You literally just own the real estate. You're basically being a landlord for an assisted living home. Now, it's completely residential. And what I mean by that is this isn't a commercial unit. It isn't a multifamily unit. It's not some big, huge box with 150, different units. No, it is literally a residential home. Depending on where you live in the country, you're going to be allowed to have somewhere between 6 and 16 residents in the home. And so because of this, the home is going to be larger. It's going to be more upscale. When I say single family, I don't mean a 3-bed, 2-bath. I mean like maybe a 6.5, or, for a home that can be licensed for 10. My homes are 10s, right? They didn't start that way. We converted them to become that way. But this is what we're talking about, a residential home in a residential setting. Now, if you choose this route, what we call you as the landlord is a preferred real estate provider. You're preferred because you know what you're doing, and the building is custom suit to what these care home owners really want in their care home, what they're looking for. It's not just any old home that you're going to say, oh, I'll lease it to you. Don't worry. I'll charge more and you could take it and you go do what. No. You've done the hard work. So you've purchased the real estate, you've renovated it, added more bedrooms and more bathrooms, added guardrails, handrails, ramps, whatever the seniors need to keep them safe. Some cities or counties require fire suppression, so you've even added that in, aka sprinklers, right? Some cities, if it's going to be a multi-level home, you may need to put in a residential elevator. If not, at least a chairlift, because the seniors need to be able to get up and down from floor, 2 to 1 and 1 to 2. So you've done all the renovations throughout the home. And now what you've created is worth something. Someone who's getting into this industry who doesn't have the means or know how to renovate the home, they want what you have, and vice versa. So you, as the landlord, can be getting twice the fair market rent. That's a beautiful thing. But again, it's because you did the work. It's not just, oh, I've got, this home and I'll lease it to you and you go figure it out. That's not worth as much as someone who has really taken the time to make this perfectly suitable for what that operator wants to see in the care home. So if you've done that, you could be charging twice the fair market rent. We have a home that we renovated as an assisted living home, and we're leasing it to someone who's running the business in the home. Our mortgage is about $5-ish, maybe $5,500 every single month, and they pay us $12,000 every single month to lease that home from us. When we bought the home, it was a 6.5. We turned it into an 11.10. When we bought the home, no ramps, no guardrails, no fire suppression. We added all of that. We added everything to make the home senior safe and accessible for them. So when someone came in to see this business, they said, oh, that's worth something. You did the labor that now I don't have to do. I'm paying for speed because I can get it up and running very quickly. Now, they're also a long-term, low-impact tenant. And what I mean by that is this isn't a single family signing a 1 or 2 year contract. This is a business. They're trying to plant roots and establish a brand and a reputation. So they may want to sign a 3, 5, I've seen 8, I've seen 10, I've seen 12-year contracts on this property because they don't want to be kicked out. This is a business, right? The business is based on the location and the reputation and the branding. And so they can't be picking up and moving locations every couple years. No, location is everything. They want to stay put. So you as the landlord have a long-term tenant. And I also say low impact because there's no teenagers punching holes in the wall. There's no pit bulls being bred in the living room, motorcycles being dissected in the dining room. No. This home is being kept pristine and clean at all times because they're touring new prospective residents coming through the door. And so they want to make sure that it is in mint condition at all times. When I say little or no maintenance as the third benefit of being a preferred real estate provider, what that really means to you is that depending on how you set up the contract, you might not be in charge of the maintenance at all. 31% of care home owners are remote owners, meaning they own a home in another state where they don't live. You can't be in charge of the maintenance if you don't even live in that state. So I want to make sure that if you go this route and become a landlord on these properties, that you aren't in charge of the maintenance at all. Now, there are some pros and some cons to owning the real estate and leasing it to an operator. Let's talk about some of the cons. Let's just get it out of the way. This is a new business, potentially. They don't have a track record. So you are leasing to an inexperienced tenant, and they may or may not like the remodeling that you did. They may want to change that, and that could affect the price point up or down. The reality is if you convert a home into a group home setting, it's probably never going to go back to a regular single family home. It will always be sold as some form of a group home, whether it's senior housing, clean and sober, developmentally disabled adults, something. It's never going to be a single family again, more than likely, right? So they may say, okay, well, I want to adjust this or that, and that could affect the value. They also, and this is a big one, may want rent concessions. And they may want this because in the beginning, they don't have the income coming in. They're not full and cash flowing day one. So they may say, hey, I can only pay you half rent for the first 3 months. And then I'll pay you full rent. And then I'll pay you rent and a half, when it comes to month 9, 10, 11, 12. And so you'll make your money throughout the year. But in the beginning, it may be a little bit more sketchy. These are things you need to consider because this isn't that one family who's moving in for 1 year and it's pretty clean cut, right? They're going to owe you what they owe you every single time. This, they may want to have more of a conversation around it. Honestly, this looks a lot more like a partnership than it does just a regular tenant-landlord agreement. Now, some of the pros, this is a long-term tenant. You don't have to worry about vacancies. If you're not in charge of the maintenance, you're not in charge of the maintenance, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Many times we'll put, hey, if it's over $1,500, it's fully on you as the operator. They have to take care of anything like that. And if it's less than that, you let us know, send us the bill, and we'll try to figure it out. They're also a low impact tenant. We just talked about that. And you have the potential for higher than fair market rent. So pros and cons, but good things for you to consider. How do you determine what the fair market rent is in your area? There is a great website that's called rentometer.com. When you go there, you can type in the address that you're looking for. Now, of course, you're probably never going to find a 1010 in comparison, but it's going to give you the next best. So let's say that home was 6,500 square feet. Okay, great. What is the comparison for all the other nearby 6,500 square feet homes? Maybe they're only 8.4s or 6.5s or whatever the case is, but it's giving you that comparison of square footage v square footage in the area. So if it's saying average rent is 6,500, but you've got it all ready to go for assisted living, you probably know I could probably get a tenant in here for $8,000, $9,000, $10,000+ a month who's leasing this home from me because they are going to be cash flowing so well on the business that they're willing to pay for speed if it's the right person. Now, when you are leasing the home to someone, you may want to be leasing it with an option, and the terms are always going to be key. They may ask for deferred payments. We talked about that. They may ask for improvements or alterations, whether they want you to do them or they want to do them themselves. They may also want, price per month. It may be like, hey, when we start, I can only pay you, $7,000, like we said, and then I'll pay you 8, 9, 10, or every year. The first year is 7,000, next year's 8,000, then 9, all the way up to 12 or 15 or whatever it is. Increases, that is another big one, whether it's monthly or over the years, a 3 to 5% increase to keep up with inflation, whatever the case is, increases can be baked into this, option and this package that you're presenting to the operator. A security deposit, you could be asking for things like that. Option to renew. So when your 5-year contract is up, okay, we can renew for another 5 years. Should we both parties agree and blah, 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 you can write that into your lease right there. Option to buy. This is a huge and sexy thing for people in this industry who are operators who are leasing from you, because the only reason that they're leasing from you, let's just cut to the chase. The only reason they're leasing from you and not owning the real estate themselves is because they can't right now, for whatever reason that is, whether it's financially, whether it's they've applied and they got denied, whatever's going on, they can't do it themselves. So they need you for right now. But they don't want to always need you, right? They want to either get this home from you and now they own it, or they want to cancel this eventually and go get a home that they can own. Everyone knows it's smarter to be the operator and the owner of the real estate and the business. They don't want to forever be leasing. So an option to buy is a really, really nice thing that you can add in there for them, whether all the money they paid goes towards something or whatever the case is. Amount applied towards the purchase, that's always a good thing. Now, the second way you can get involved, and I just kind of teased it, is owning the real estate and operating the business, being both sides of these coins. Now, if you're in a place where you can do this, this is an amazing way to participate because you can cash flow the most. You're not just giving away free rent to somebody else, and you do not have to be that hands-on. I've got to say that up front because many of you listening are thinking, oh, I just want to do the real estate. I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day. Okay. My 3 care homes that are 20 minutes, 35 minutes, and almost 45 minutes away from me, I visit them once every quarter, and I spend 5 hours a week working on the business. 0 hours a week working in the business. I'm never working in the business. I'm never being a caregiver, being an administrator, being on the floor. That's not me. That's not my job. I'm the owner. Right? I'm the operator. I'm more hands off. So if 5 hours a week for 3 homes cash flowing, and I'll break down some numbers for you in just a second, works for you, then this could be the best opportunity for you. Because let's be real, the real estate is the easy part. Anybody can buy a home and renovate it and get it ready to go. It's the operations that is the more difficult part. But if we show you at the Residential Assisted Living Academy how to get it down to 5 hours a week, is that worth it? Well, let's break it down. If the average cost of care in our country today is right around $5,500 per month per person, and depending on where you live in the country, you're going to be allowed to have somewhere between 6 and 16 residents in the home. So we'll use 10 for easy math. That means you'd be bringing in $55,000 every single month of monthly gross income. Now, there are a lot of expenses in this industry. It is not like your regular single family or even an Airbnb. There are all sorts of things you're paying for food and activities, utilities, maintenance, the caregivers, the administrator. You're baking in a 10% vacancy, property taxes, property insurance, liability insurance, all these different things. Now, I want you to set aside about $35,000 a month for those expenses on just an average 10-bed home. Nothing fancy, just very, very average, okay? The fancier you go, the more expensive it will be in regards to the mortgage, but the cost is pretty average across the way. If we put that in right here in your overhead or your expense column, then you add in $10,000 of debt service. In most parts of the country, we can still get a really nice home for $10,000 a month. That's leaving us with $120,000 a year or $10K a month. Not bad on an average home. But I know people in our training who say average, that's not me. I am above average and I do everything 5-star and I want it to be a bit nicer. So maybe you're charging $6,700 times the same 10 residents, bringing in $67,000 every single month. Your expenses stay the same. It's a nicer home in a better part of town. Maybe there's more bedrooms and bathrooms. Maybe there's more square footage. Maybe the backyard is nice and luxurious, or it's a much better area. Whatever the case, we put in $12,000 a month for the debt service or rent right there. Now, this is still leaving you with $20,000 of monthly net income or $240K a year. Now, that's pretty good. Again, on one home, bringing you in this type of cash flow if you own the real estate and operate the business. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, wait, this sounds amazing, but how do I find the money to do this? Well, rest assured, at our training, we show you the 7 ways that you can use other people's money to do this. You don't have to use your own money. And I love that because this is an industry that actually is super attractive to investors. Great returns. Everyone can relate to it because we all have an aging loved one. Or let's be honest, raise your hand if you're getting older or know someone who is. Right? Like we're all aging, we're all dealing with this. And honestly, most people are scared about this. So investing in something that you know is inevitable, that you know you're going to partake in, your family members are going to partake in, but you're going to get great returns all the while. It's one of those things that not just checks the money box, but it checks the heart box. Now, I want to show you on the extreme end what a luxury 16 bed could look like because certain states like Georgia, Ohio, Alabama, Texas, New Jersey, where you're allowed to have 15 or 16 residents in a home, you could be charging $7,500 per month times 16 residents, bringing in $120,000 every single year. Now, your overhead here does increase because we don't have 10 residents, we have 16 residents. So we need to pay for more care, more food, more electricity, more cable. With a care ratio of 4-to-1 or 5-to-1, we will be increasing the staff here. And staff equates to over 40% of your total expenses. So that's why I bumped it up quite a bit because this is one full-time staff member who's on, adding to that bottom line, maybe even 2 right there, bumping up from that 10 number. So debt service, it's going to cost us a pretty penny to house 16 residents. I mean, I'm going to share with you the 4 ways on the real estate side you can get involved in this in just a moment. But, $20,000 a month, that should cover what we need for a home like this. That leaves us with $40,000 a month of monthly net income. Or $480,000 a year. I stuttered when I said it because that is insane to be getting that off of one home. And yet I have students who are doing it all across the country. Now, if you live in an area where the cost of living is expensive, the cost of care is probably going to be expensive. To find the average cost of care in your area, there's websites that will give you kind of an average breakdown, like genworth.com/cost of care. But really, the best way is going to be going and doing your market research, your demographic research, and finding out what people are actually paying. Government funding won't pay this bill. At $1,800 a month, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is, it's not going to cover this. This is private pay, and that's what we're focused on at the Residential Assisted Living Academy. We show people how to make these numbers every day, and you could be next too. Click the link right below, and it's going to take you to my book that I wrote, Living Legacy, my story of getting started in assisted living. And I really think it's going to get you down that right next step, showing you exactly what path you need to take to make your assisted living dreams come true and become an owner-operator, become just an operator, become just an owner, whatever it is you want. It's going to be that blueprint to success for you. So make sure to click the link below and grab your free book today. The third way for you to get started is to become a private lender or JV partner. If you are here on YouTube today saying, I don't have the real estate and I don't want to, and I don't want to operate the business, but I've got money and I just want to invest in someone who's going to do this because I see the market, I see the trends, I see the numbers, and this makes sense. Well, you're in luck. You could become a private lender or JV partner to someone who is getting started and interested in this industry. This is a beautiful way for you to get amazing returns and invest in something that makes a whole lot of sense. I want to cover with you the 4 ways to get started in residential assisted living. This is really from the real estate perspective, like how do I actually do this, right? So 1, you could be buying an existing RAL business and buying the real estate. There are 30,000 group homes that exist across our country today. So there may be one in your area or in an area where you like to invest that you could literally go and buy that property and buy the business, and you're up and running, cash flowing day one. Some of the pros is the speed to start. Some of the cons is you're buying a business and you're buying someone else's problems or whatever is going on there. They may not have the rates that you want. You may not love the staff. You may want to rip down the whole house and start over. So you have to make sure you're evaluating the business correctly, that this is a good deal, and really get the story of the home. You need to find out the reputation in the community because it's a very tight-knit community. 2, you could buy a single family home and convert it to become an RAL. This is a great way to get started as well because you get to customize the home a bit more. You get to do that demographic research and find out that it's in the right market for what is needed in this area. And in this regard, you really do get to control more than just buying someone else's, situation. 3rd, and this is the most customized way, is you could buy land and custom build an RAL home from the ground up. If you live in an area where you're allowed to have more than 10 residents, it is tough to take a single family home, even if it is 6'5" and 6,000 square feet. It's still tough to take that and then turn it into 1110, right? You may want to just buy land and custom built to suit from the ground up. And if you do this, now everything is perfectly ready to go for exactly what you want. We have a ton of students who go this direction as well, especially, like I said, those who are allowed to have more than 10 residents, because it's just such a big lift anyways with the renovation. You may as well just do a build. And deep breath. If you're like, oh my God, I just started, now I'm building a custom home from the ground up, I don't even know what to do. We've got your back. Literally, we train people on this every day. So don't forget to grab my book because it's going to get you started on those next steps. The 4th way for you to get started, and this kind of circles us back right to the beginning, is you could lease a home to use for this. If you're not financially in the place for you to be buying and renovating or buying and building a property right now, maybe you're saying like, hey, I understand you're going to show me how to use other people's money, but I don't want to. I want to use all of my savings, which is silly. But listen, if that's you, okay, whatever. I'm going to not, okay, you do you. But maybe you want to lease from someone. And so that is a way to go about this. In the beginning, we talked about being the real estate owner, but what about if you're the operator? What about if you are the one who wants to lease from someone to do this? That's a great way to get started in this, because if you are just dipping your toes and kind of, figuring out if this is for you and the real estate side scares you and, whatever the case is, you could lease from someone who's done that hard work and labor for you. For the last 10 years, we've been showing people how to own and operate care homes step by step. And I wrote down all of my secrets and my information on really what we do in this industry and how we can support you in my book, Living Legacy. It's totally free for you. So make sure to click the link in the show notes and grab that book. And I'll see you next time. We post videos all the time on this channel, so make sure to like and subscribe.